Every one of us has 3 intelligence centers in our body. There is the mind, the heart, and the gut. The gut is instinct, and it is where the action happens instantaneously. It senses an instinct, a primal force, and we act. The heart and the mind often are in conflict with each other, and we need that yin-yang to survive and to thrive. The mind is the thinker, and the heart is the knower, and we do need both. The mind tends to be very afraid, and because of that fear, which is a survival mechanism, it wants to acquire. It is all about acquiring food, shelter, resources. And the heart wants to give it all away. It is the love, the giving, the openness, the trust. When they are working together, our body is in alignment. We are in harmony with the world around us. The problem is that a lot of the Western culture ignores the heart and is very much intellect and thinking dominant. That's why it's described as an individualistic culture, and where we've had movies famously quoted where they say greed is good. This is what happens when we disconnect from our hearts. Of course, we do need to acquire things. We do need to succeed in life. We need to provide for ourselves and our families. And so this does require a degree of acquisition. And if we just gave all our money away, that's not even a kind thing, because ultimately we will be of no use to anyone and we'll have nothing left to give. Whereas if we donated a percentage of our income, we could do that on a consistent basis and be able to give more in the long run. But the real problem that happens when we disconnect our heart and mind is that we think acquisition is the ultimate goal in life. And in fact, happiness is the goal in life. And we are just thinking that a certain amount of money and stuff and that trophy spouse is what will make us happy. And this is the wrong way to go, because that happiness does not come. There is never enough money. There is never enough stuff. There is always a need for more. Whatever a person made last year, it's now no longer good enough, and they want more. Welcome to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. I'm your host, Todd Perlmutter. Our world is a projection of our collective consciousness. The more peace we bring into our lives, the more peace we bring into this world. So let the transformation begin. There is no time when money, worries, and thoughts stop. When we make that our life purpose, there is no end to that seeking. And so the secret to connecting our heart and mind is to reach a place of contentment now while striving for more. It's easier said than done, but it is essential for a happy life and for loving this journey. There is zero reason that we cannot be happy right now, no matter what is going on in our lives, no matter where we are on our journey. Think about it. Where we are on our journey can only be good or bad, depending on where we've been and where we want to go. At any moment, we would have no way of knowing if our journey is good or bad until we compare it. Imagine a stock market ticker, and we see that chart, and it goes up and down, and it's trending upwards. Well, when it's going down, we panic, right? We get stressed. When it's going up, we get so elated, we think it'll never come back down, and we're so excited. But at any given moment, it's just somewhere on this chart. The only way to know direction is through time. Otherwise, it's just where it is on the journey. So when we're having a down year, we don't have to be down. If we're having an up year, we don't have to lose ourselves and overspend like there's no tomorrow. We can just say, here is where I am. This spot on the journey. It's here. That's fine. That is good enough. It is wonderful to be on this journey. We don't have to constantly be charting and tracking direction. It doesn't even matter, because a downward slope can still be higher than an upward slope 10 years ago, but we don't look at it like that. And it's really all comes down to perspective. And if we are present, then there is no down. There is only this beautiful, perfect moment. There is just happiness now as we work towards our goals. Everything else is window dressing. And when we accept wherever we are and accept that life will be ups and downs, then we can be happy as we strive to make life better. And when we are happily striving without runaway fear, without excessive stress, we're not draining ourselves. We're not becoming exhausted. We don't have to constantly lift ourselves up and drag ourselves up the hill. And we have more energy to achieve whatever we want without any internal resistance or doubt. And here are two really good and easy ways we can all discover that peace and happiness while working hard and striving. The first is by stepping out of that praise criticism trap. So many of us rely on someone else to lift us up, to praise us, to encourage us. We all want that, and while we all deserve it, that is a losing game, isn't it? It is guaranteed to let us down. We won't get praise all the time. When we do get praise half the time, we don't accept it. We don't believe it. We're too hard on ourselves. And so we have to stop hoping and expecting praise to lift us up, to sustain us indefinitely. And then we also have to stop letting criticism bring us down. And the way we do this is what I like to call building a walled garden in our mind. And what this means is that we take care of our internal mental state. We also put up a protective wall around it where we don't let in praise and we don't let in criticism, and we need neither, because we are tending to our own garden. We are making sure it is peaceful and beautiful. And anything from outside, we do not have to let in. We are the best gardeners of our own mind. We are the Zen garden architects. We weed out negativity, hatred, jealousy, fear, anger, and we plant the seeds of love and kindness and positivity and generosity and compassion. We no longer demand others to be any other way than how they are. Just as we are our responsibility, it's time we understand that other people are their own responsibility. We cannot change them, and wishing for them to be different is a fool's errand that will only lead to disappointment. We still smile and be kind to others, offer guidance and help when it's asked, but we give up the expectations of someone else to change, and we leave that to them. No matter what point on the journey we are, and we'll all be at different points, we are all equals. Everyone is worthy to live, to make their own choices, to make their own mistakes. And when we demand others to change or just wish that they would, we are creating our own suffering, and we are putting ourselves above them. We are acting as though we know better for them, and we cannot. Everyone will make their own choices. Everyone will change when they're ready to change. And all we can do is be a smiling, kind example, and to lend a hand when a hand is reached out to us. To get more entangled in that relationship of demands and expectations and pressure, both our pressure on others and other people's pressures on ourselves, is a losing game guaranteed to make us miserable. When we can just appreciate everyone for wherever they are on their path, we also accept ourselves and where we are on our path. The less we expect others to make us happy, and the more we spend time tending to our own garden, the happier we will be. When you can stop requiring praise to feel good about yourself, you are truly free. You no longer live a life out of alignment with your deepest values, and you no longer accept the pressure or criticism from anyone else, and you are a steady state of peace. And this is how we are able to be our most compassionate, contribute the most to society, which eventually translates to acquiring the things we need to survive and thrive. We are not free if we live for praise and to avoid criticism. In fact, we are a slave to people who have not figured out how to be happy, to live for themselves, and to live in a constant state of either superiority or inferiority. When we have that beautiful garden within us, when we can close our eyes and be in deep peace, and we need nothing and nobody to fulfill us, to bring us contentment or lasting happiness, only then will we be truly happy and free. The kind that nobody can take away from you. It's not a state of distrusting people, and it's not a state of foolishly trusting everybody. It is simply a wise inner contentment that is impenetrable and that does not make rash decisions out of either craving or fear and avoiding. And those are really the two main aspects that every con artist, that every crook and dishonest person takes advantage of. They paint you a beautiful picture in your mind that you just can't live without, and you give them all your money. And then they'll use fear and they'll say, there's only one ticket left or one spot left or buy now, time is running out, or any of those marketing tactics and con man gimmicks that play on our fears and desires. We don't need that fear of scarcity, and we don't need anything outside of us to bring us happiness because we already have it. And that really is so important, because even if we're skeptical of everyone and distrusting of everyone, we can fall for other scams, or we can avoid even investing our money into something smart and safe because of too much fear. Too much fear of taking a chance on ourselves. Too much fear of going into business with anybody. And of course, if we're too trusting, we will give all our money away to a fraud or a scam because our dollar signs are just flashing in our eyes and we can't see anything but this pretty story someone is painting for us. And so we do need both. We need the heart and we need the head, and we need them working together. And something really amazing that the first shaman I ever met told me, and he was one of these people who just saw things that no one else can see, and like magic, he could just sense what you were thinking and what's kind of going wrong in your life and how to fix it. And he said to me, listen to your heart, let it lead and your mind follow. It's the boss. And when he said this, I didn't even know what he was talking about. I was like, heart? What are you talking about? I have no idea literally what this person is talking about. I had very little understanding of spirituality at this time. I met him very early on in my spiritual journey, and I just didn't even know what he was talking about. I didn't know. Heart is the thing that beats blood. So what are you talking about, sir? But I thought about that for so long after he said that, and it still sticks with me today because now it makes perfect sense. I was head-driven. I was all head. I was a thinker, a worrier, always in my head, always strategizing and problem solving, and always a stressed mess. Probably like most Westerners, I was very headstrong, very big ego, which is like having an overinflated head. And my life was all about me and how can I get what I want. Over time, especially on my spiritual journey, I started to discover what opening your heart meant and what letting your heart be the boss really means. And we can really see it clearly. If our head is the boss, we are afraid, we are closed off, always keeping people at a distance, always seeing danger, threats, and potential enemies. We are selfish and greedy. And sometimes we'll check in with our heart and it'll say something the opposite, and we'll usually ignore it, creating this inner conflict within us. And this is very common in the Western cultures because we're told that the brain is where all thoughts and all intelligence exists, and that is it. Even though we now know there's neurons in our gut and in our heart as well. Some Eastern and indigenous cultures that go back a long time have always understood that there's these other centers of intelligence in the body, and they often will ignore the mind and even discard it completely and give it no importance what they are thinking, and instead choose to live in their hearts where they are open and loving and connected with their community on a deep level. What I have found since opening up my heart and trying to let my heart lead the way is I've noticed a greater intelligence. It's not as loud as the brain. In fact, it's a whisper. But when we can quiet our thoughts and just be present, this love naturally emerges from us. And when we feel the love of presence beyond thought, beyond a happy thought, and we are just outside of thought, fully one with our surroundings and our body, our thoughts do follow. And we have a higher wisdom when our heart, mind, and gut are working in alignment. We all know exactly what we should be doing, but our brain worries that it's a mistake, that we'll fail, that we can't be at peace because we need more. But when we start listening to the heart and we truly let it lead our lives, the brain comes along as our servant, not our master. It brings its healthy dose of skepticism instead of cynicism. It brings its strategizing mind for enriching our lives, not for hurting someone else, not for taking from others. And this is how we can trust the universe, trust the process, trust that this journey of life we are going down is a well-trodden path, that it is safe, that it is liberating, that it has meaning and purpose and value, so that we can keep marching down that trail, keep our head held high, knowing that we can make it through anything, and trusting that our work will pay off. To go through life any other way is just going to make us miserable. So open up that heart. Give with wisdom and caution. Trust where trust is earned. Love when it is hard and difficult. And trust that feeling within you over those fearful, paranoid thoughts in your head. When we live in a heart-led society, our world will transform overnight. Much love. If you or a loved one are going through grief and loss right now, my newest book, Grief and Spiritual Healing, Surviving Life After Loss, has just gone up on Amazon, and it's available now. You can get it for a friend, give it to a loved one. This is really the hardest time in anyone's life, and I wrote it because I just went through a grief journey myself, as I watched someone who is one of the closest people to me and my loved ones succumb to cancer. And I just hope that this book can bring some healing and some helpful words in these hard times. Be well, stay well, and remember, nothing and no one can ever truly be lost. The memories and the impact live on forever in our hearts. And grief is just that healing process, that infinite wisdom of our bodies. And it is a journey of love. May this book be a roadmap for you on that journey. Thank you. You have been listening to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. Being here and putting in this important and noble work is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others. If you found this podcast even a little helpful, please make sure to leave a review so it can reach others who may be in need. And remember, the path to peace starts with a single step.